Hello, my name is Ralph Young. Today's date is October 3rd, 2002. On the infamous day of September 11th, 2001, I was working in the Pentagon. I am a budget analyst with the Department of Defense. And as most days, it was a beautiful, beautiful morning. And as with most days, my family and I awakened early to get to our places of work early to start our day and make it a good day. Of course, in my profession, being a budget analyst, that time of the year, we're quite busy. I cannot ever forget how beautiful it was and what a joy it was to be alive. I was at my computer taking care of some budget program issues, and one of my coworkers came to us and yelled for us to enter our boss's office to witness the events in New York City on that day. Most of us were just crunching numbers, trying to get our programs written to submit to Congress. I, for one, ran into the office, and I couldn't believe my eyes. It appeared as though this was something out of a movie. Horrific scenes. With that, I went back to my desk and was continually trying to work on things, and then all of a sudden, CNN popped up on my screen. And from that time on, this was a real event. Probably within, 30 minutes or so, the building shook. My office was less than 200 yards away from the impact at the Pentagon. All of a sudden, there were screams of leaving the building. There was chaos everywhere. People shoving, yelling, screaming, trying to get out of the building. As soon as we exited the building, there was no doubt in my mind that a plane had hit our building. You could just smell the jet fuel in the air. And of course, being former military, being around a lot of aircraft and so forth, jet fuel is something that you never forget the smell of. People everywhere, chaos everywhere. One of the things most of us were saying that, this was war. Something was about to happen that was beyond any comprehension. I never, ever felt so angry at that time. Hundreds and hundreds of people on cell phones trying to contact their relatives, as was I. No connections, no nothing. Our boss, Mrs. Kathy Ferguson, bless her heart, she was the leader that we had all thought she was. She gathered us all up, all of my office mates, which probably totaled about 25 of us, and we started walking away from the Pentagon. Sirens blasting, people crying, people in frantic modes. We walked and walked and walked up until the time that we had decided to make sure that we had a roster of all of our people, so that we can contact family and friends. And all of a sudden, there was this car that had Maryland tags on it. And one of my office mates asked this person where she was going. She was headed to Maryland, my destination. So myself and two other office mates, Miss Candy Jones and Mr. Clarence Eldridge, this angel allowed us to ride with her back to Maryland. Traffic jams, people on foot, hardly any movement of traffic. It took us about 4.5 hours to get home. My wife was in a frantic. My brother-in-law finally, bless his heart, called from Texas to ask how we were. I never did contact my wife. Friends were trying to contact me. After I guess 2.5 hours after the plane impacted the Pentagon, a good friend of mine did call. I asked her to contact my wife and please put her at ease that I was fine. A little shaken, but I was fine. As I said, it took about nearly 4 to 5 hours for me to finally meet up with my wife on a stretch of road on the Beltway outside of Washington, D.C. in Maryland. That day, I probably shed more tears than I have in my entire life. My wife and I, might as well have been a flood when we were crying and hugging and kissing one another. And the Good Samaritan who brought my wife to the destination where we met, she was in all tears too. It was a very loving moment, but a very scary moment. I've never in my life want to experience such an occasion again. But I am a blessed man today because the good Lord apparently saw the need to keep me around. Calls, hundreds of calls from friends and relatives, literally from around the world, called to find out how I was, because they knew that I worked in the Pentagon. And I said before, the airplane impacted less than 200 yards away from our desk. I mean, the building shook, smoke billowing from everywhere. We were a very, very blessed group of people. Unfortunately, like many people in this area and the thousands who lost friends and relatives in New York, I too lost a very good friend and a co-worker in the attack on the Pentagon. Her name, Miss Patty Mickley. It hurts my soul today to know that Patty left this world so tragically and left such a beautiful family behind. Many of us worked with her many, many years ago when she was working for the Air Force. And it pains me to even think that she's gone. But she had a career change that she wanted to make, and she went to work for the Army. And as we all know, that side of the building was primarily filled with Army personnel, uniformed as well as civilians and contractors. Patty just happened to be to work that day, and she lost her life. On the celebration of, well, celebration is a wrong term. In recognition of that day, this past September 11th, the entire country was in mourning, and so were we. I had intended to revisit my office mates, but I couldn't bring myself to do that. I had to grieve and remember in my own way by attending church services, by visiting other friends and relatives, and attending a very beautiful piano recital commemorating the event and celebrating America, great, great nation, which we all should take pride in. And also I visited Patty's gravesite that day, which was a very hard thing to do. As I've said before, I'm a very, very blessed man. My office mates, whom I was with on that tragic day, we stay in touch. We are, to this day, inextricably connected, and we will always be connected because of that tragic day. I was fortunate enough to also have been given the opportunity to write a small prose, if you will, of what I experienced that day. And I'd like to share that with you. I sent this to the Washington Post and also included it in our local paper, the Bowie Blade. But it goes something like this. It's titled, Changed. One day after my mom's birthday, let it go, move on. I can't. Less than 200 yards away. You gotta see this. Glued to the food tube. The Twin Towers of fire. No way. Scenes from a new movie, perhaps. Boom. The building shook. Let's get the hell out of here. People running, pushing, screaming, crying. Oh my God. Smoke, sirens, the smell of jet fuel. We're hit. We're hit. Cries of war and revenge. Ex-co-workers are dead. It could have been me, less than 200 yards away. Let it go. Move on. But I can't. I live it and relive it perpetually. Yes, September 11, 2001 has changed me to understand that, and we all have known this, that life is such a precious, precious event. And we should wake each day and be thankful that our Lord, our Maker, whomever that might be, has given us one more day to challenge ourselves, to not only be good to our friends, our relatives, our loved ones, but to each other. What will come out of September 11th, I don't know. The country is still healing. We're still going through bouts of doubt. Could we have thwarted this effort? Could our intelligence agencies have done a better job? Perhaps. Who's to blame? No one really knows. Will we ever know? Perhaps not. I would pray that for the coming generations, that they understand that freedom in America does not and will not come cheap. Respect our country, respect our leaders, and make sure that we always understand that we have been blessed to live and work and worship in the freest nation on the face of this earth. God has blessed the United States of America, and I'm so proud to be a member of a civilized nation such as we. Yes, we have problems. Yes, we will overcome them. For the generations to come, please continue to take the torch of freedom. Look after those who are less fortunate. Pray for one another and lift one another up in prayer and give of yourself. I hope one of the things that comes out of this is a positive attitude that we need to give more of ourselves to our communities, to our children. Help one another, and please be kind to one another. I thank everyone for this opportunity to speak to you, and I pray that we will never, ever forget what has happened to us. This, much like the attack on Pearl Harbor, much like the incident that occurred in Oklahoma, this is another cross to bear for our generation. Each and every generation will have its cross, but this is our cross to bear. Every September 11th, I'm sure that there will be times that we need to reflect on who we are, where we are, and where we're going as a nation. I pray that we never, ever experience such a tragic incident again. But I think we as a people will overcome this, we will learn from this, and we will heal from this. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.